At the embassy's grand hall, lights glistened off crystal chandeliers, reflected in the attentive eyes of diplomats and dignitaries enjoying a night of polished elegance and elaborate cuisine. Amidst the opulence, Mila Harper quietly took her place in the backwash of glamorous servers and formidable chefs. Her plain uniform, a simple polo and sturdy black slacks, set her apart from the glitz. Despite the bustling energy around her, she adhered to her station near the industrial dishwasher, hands working rhythmically in the sudsy water. She moved with a purpose that seemed almost invisible to those weaving through elaborate courses in the dining room. Within the festooned chambers, conversations floated thick with diplomatic jargon and subtle jockeying. From beyond the kitchen doors, Mila's ears caught bites of foreign phrases mixed with the perfumed compliments of well-dressed guests, a prestigious parade largely oblivious to her presence. She'd overheard a sous chef snickering at her drawl earlier, dismissing it as provincial, while a passing servant had mistaken her as non-comprehending help. The pinnacle of the evening approached with the much-anticipated main course, unveiled with pomp, an exquisitely prepared pheasant, richly dressed in a hazelnut sauce. Satisfaction briefly swelled over murmuring voices, until chaos knocked the evening off its genteel axis. The sudden sounds of chairs scraping the floor accompanied gasping cries as 3 of the guests collapsed, their skin quickly mottling with alarm. Panic swept through the opulent hall like wildfire, guests rising with helpless urgency. The dignified ambience dissolved into urgent shouting and fearful gestures, all uncertain flurry under chandelier light. Amidst the blooming crisis, Mila's eyes sharpened with a forgotten clarity. Her hands paused. The night had just shattered its facade. Amidst the lavish decor of the embassy's banquet hall, chaos reigned. The guests' meticulously composed facades shattered as screams cut through the elegant notes of a string quartet. As 3 dignitaries fell to the ground, their rapid, shallow breaths painting a vivid picture of life teetering at the brink, panic rippled outward. Clusters of richly attired individuals gestured frantically, crowding around the prone figures in a desperate, chaotic attempt to assist. Mila Harper, now at the edge of the dining room, saw the scene unfold. Her plain uniform, a stark contrast to the formal attire of aristocrats and officials, became her armor as she pushed through the throng. Her heart, though hidden beneath her modest exterior, beat with resolute steadiness. Chest high with composure, Mila charged forward. Ignoring the dismissive murmurs, "What's she doing? Is she even allowed over there?" She reached the closest of the fallen guests. Driven by instinct honed in her years of paramedic work, she fell into a rhythm as natural as breathing. Kneeling beside a middle-aged diplomat whose face was swelling to an alarming degree, she assessed airway, breathing, and circulation. The room's cacophony faded, replaced by her focused directives. "Epinephrine, someone grab it. There should be pens in the first aid kit. Quickly." Her voice left no room for doubt. Caught off guard by her confidence, a nearby server froze before instinct took hold, rushing toward the embassy's first aid cache. The guests, initially paralyzed by protocol and politeness, started mobilizing under Mila's clear instruction. Her calm created ripples through the chaos, reforming the room's atmosphere from panic into organized response. As the auto-injector made its way into her hand, she expertly plunged it into the guest's outer thigh. Mila's eyes, unflinching and focused, watched for any signs of improvement, hoping for the device's life-saving dose to work its magic. Around her, those who moments ago watched passively moved to assist, following her unyielding lead. "Ensure they're lying back," she instructed, pointing a clear path for the crowd to follow. "We need space, everyone, make room." Enlisted helpers sprang into action, once nervous now eager to assist under Mila's guidance. Despite the initial reluctance, her confidence bolstered their sagging morale. Aides moved chairs away, creating wide berths for air and emergency access, while others tended to the still-breathing victims. The remaining 2 affected guests, similarly treated by fellow staff under Mila's beckoning, began the slow journey back to consciousness. A quiet heroism reigned as she handed the response over to the newly arrived paramedics, relaying vital observations with professional brevity that acknowledged the gravity of their trust. Murmurings of respect for the dishwasher, now a calm cornerstone of crisis, threaded through the high ceilings, replacing comments of belittlement with admiration. The earlier mockery by the sous chef seemed swallowed by a weighty hush that enveloped him, acknowledgement evident in his suddenly quiet demeanor. Among the diplomatically adept, status quo had fissured, perceptions shifted in confrontation with unassuming competence. A lone woman, whose discreet life mired in chore became a pivot of hope and skill, had reshaped the drama into a demonstration of skill and humanity. Broken conversations began anew, reconfiguring into narratives replete with words like remarkable and heroic. The ambassador's aide thanked Mila, his previous derision melting under embarrassment and gratitude. "There are medical professionals in attendance," he stammered, "but no one reacted like you." Mila only nodded, brushing back strands of hair unsecured in her haste. Her heart, steady as steel through the storm, softened, their gratitude kindling a warmth she hadn't expected. Yet she kept her eyes from the lingering attentions, returning her focus to the tasks silent within her periphery, the remains of service, an echo of her former diligence. The paramedics arrived, their presence sealing her success. They exchanged knowing glances with Mila as acknowledgments of mutual respect passed between her sturdy resolve and their trained support. Soon, the significant restoration of order moved beyond her hands as the guests were transferred to outer care. Conversations faded into the ambient background, shrouded with a peculiar reverence for the unassuming heroine of the hour. As staff and guests cautiously reinstated calm, the event transitioned, cloaking the evening's shock in newfound understanding. Mila, stepping back quietly as the focus of activity moved with her instruction, found herself within view, seen but not intruded upon. The world she thought simple, one where she played a small part unseen and unnoticed, expanded just slightly, reshaping perhaps her view as much as the attendees. Against the diplomatic occasion's backdrop, stories took shape that framed her unassuming stature in sweeping narratives of gratitude, words whispered then reinforced by the retelling. As Mila returned her sights to the domestic sanctum scrubbed clean of life's earlier mundanities, the emboldened marks of her purpose lingered. Here, in this room once devoted to privilege, she had found functional proof of strength consigned to memory's guttural alleys. Her future, once writing the simple cadence of chores and silent anonymity, promised not only remembrance but renewal, a chance to step fully into her resurgent capabilities, drawn forth by an unexpected challenge and the realization that invisibility, when seen, could become celebrated legend. Stories and reality wove together as Mila's figure, quietly emblematic of hope and heroism, withdrew once more to gentle dispatch in the kitchen's embrace, a whispered assertion amidst the guests she had saved, a hero revealed, invited by crisis to transcend her place and make magic from seeming mundane, becoming a life-centered flash that transformed how they saw, and how she would now redefine herself. As the calm began to settle over the embassy, Mila Harper, now tidying away her soapy realm amid the vestiges of awestruck exchange, found herself pulled back through the warp of time. Memories flooded her, memories that once stayed locked behind the monotonous sound of washing dishes. Years earlier, Mila had been a vital part of an emergency response team in the city. Her days alternated between rushing into chaotic situations and restoring order, embracing each challenge with a fervor and empathy that made her a distinct asset to her team. The youthful Mila moved through the bustling ER, her paramedic uniform vibrant with freshly earned badges on display, her heart filled with purpose and dedication. In those days, she flourished in the rhythmic predictability of saving lives and comforting fears, embodying a professional versed in action before doubt or fear could settle in. A memory surfaced, a market in the thick of summer, vibrant with people and noise. Mila responded to a high-pitched call for help, a child choking amidst a line of surprised, stalled shoppers. Her swift actions left a durable motion of gratitude and respect woven through the crowd as she saved the young life, delivering tears of relief for the parents who clung to her hands, whispering thank yous as if they could convey their full depth in those words alone. But as life does, it entangles moments of triumph with tragedy. An off-duty drive through an unmarked curve, the sky too dark, the roads too narrow, accumulating into the reverberating crash that threw her senses and life into chaos. Mila found herself fighting for normalcy against a cast-encased wrist, cursed by the unlikely strip of asphalt that entangled her fate. Months of healing and therapy unwound her, knot by knot, sapping not just strength but the core of her assurance until physical exams for recertification loomed as impossible tests. New bureaucratic hurdles gnawed at her persistence, requiring flexibility and strength she could no longer guarantee. When the day of assessment arrived, her once reliable hands faltered under the weighted expectation. The vision of the assessor's solemn face, sympathy laced with decision, haunted her attempt to reconcile what she once flawlessly executed. The verdict was swift: denied recertification, cast adrift from the current she felt born to brave. Her transformation from capable to constrained fell heavily as financial needs pressed, forced her hand from duty to necessity. Exam after exam, stint after stint through menial jobs, she eventually landed as a dishwasher, a silent cornerstone of events she once might have led the emergency response for. An abrupt jolt back to reality, the kitchen's routines grounding her once more, shifted the lens through which she saw the world, a tapestry of challenges she had survived and skills she believed buried, now resuscitated by the very events that sought guidance from unexpected corners. Despite the hardship that reshaped her life's trajectory, fragments pressing against her past pulled at the edges of Mila's current day. Her wonderful son, her beacon through storms, grew up knowing only strength and kindness, a salve between the realities of her life before and after the accident. He stood as hope embodied in youth, a reminder that her narrative, though interrupted, could weave anew. As she scrubbed the last of the dishes clean in the embassy, she felt the kitchen close down, whispering an end to its tasks while the night continued. Mila savored the rhythm, slowing down her thoughts enough to let the monumental evening sink fully in. Indeed, her flashbacks melded through the lamp's lamplights, listening as echoes of her past followed subtly. She'd completed a sort of unspoken cycle, her return to action coaxing and unplanned, invaluable gradient of growth newly visible to those who had watched the extraordinary emerge from her evening service. As she collected herself, accepting final nods of acknowledgement from passing staff and guests departing delicately, a small smile broke the previous quiet reservation of her heart. Inwardly, she weighed the power of adaptation, knowledge given life once stagnant, reclaiming herself not just for memories but possibility. With names and stories, left alongside softly murmured gratitudes passing with her departure, she acknowledged with care and nurtured the roots of her awakened presence. One moment had anchored her trajectory back to the pulse of service, its vibration unquiet in her chest, a letting go of doubts born gently from the unseen. Her presence had transformed faded glances into gestures heady with understanding. Days, weeks, had yet to unfold with promise, as the night's events spread told tales never to lay down under ignorance again. The question lay before her: what shape would her future assume, now kindled to purpose? As certainty of tasks done gave way to transition, Mila walked from the quietening embassy with resolve each step, a dance between past lights guiding the path to new horizons. In returning to face the vibrant complexities of what had been, she understood more acutely the strength gathered from shadows left behind. Hers was a song of fencing in memories, reconstructing a life beyond invisibility, unwritten possibility evident with every confident motion toward what she would reclaim from the night's unexpected offering. Outside, the air was crisp, a bomb whispering still distant intentions promising her arrival once the decision turned her way was realized fully. Her heels echoed with the assuredness of steps newly perceived, steadied even against uncertainty. This richly woven tapestry, now replete with past experience and approval, was Mila's, to cradle as she moved forward. With the hope of redemption casting light onto night's recessed themes, her pulse quickened with the resumption of possibility and rediscovery of a purpose she'd once banished to secondary acts. Mila Harper, once invisible, now stepped steadily into the well-lit chapters waiting to be claimed, creating a radiant reimaging, whole, lively, and profoundly distinguished anew. Back within the hallowed halls of the embassy, whispers lingered like the scent of expensive cologne. Guests and staff, having returned to their polished routines, now viewed their surroundings and one another through a lens newly polished by the previous evening's events. The chaos that had erupted during the banquet seemed far away in time yet remained vivid in memory, drawing its contours around the figure of Mila Harper, the dishwasher who had emerged as an unexpected savior. In the days following, hushed conversations carried tales of her bravery and competence through corridors and across oval tables. People who once passed her by without a second glance now swept their gazes with mingled respect and curiosity. Among the corridors usually reserved for whispers of high-stakes diplomacy, news of the incident spread quickly. Videos of Mila's calm instruction, shared fervently online by guests, painted her as a heroic beacon of unexpected skills amidst elite gatherings. Outside the closed walls of the embassy, the story took root in fertile ground. Within social media circles, uploaded footage showed Mila's decisive intervention, fragments of visuals capturing the poised control she executed throughout the crisis. Calls to emergency services were supplemented by evidence of her life-saving assistance. Conversations threaded by online communities carried her story far and wide, distilling the fragments of dining chaos into one of admiration. Snippets of dialogue from recorded attendees revealed an unforgettable evening shifted by action, a narrative enhanced by luminous clips of Mila standing tall with confidence, every command backed by a history unknown but now surfacing. Threads of the narrative dipped into past records, resurfacing observations and commendations from her paramedic days. Pictures emerged, locating her once finely tuned skills within hospital corridors and public event safeties. There she stood, clad in the uniform now archived but vivid, marked by experiences and moments evoking clarity, a persona of dedication reawakened from the city archives. Back in the realm of catered luxury, perceptions had tangibly shifted. Her fellow staff, accustomed to invisible mechanics beneath the beaming attendees, rumbled with renewed respect. No longer just a face in the backroom, Mila was met with nods and smiles, a recognition that rippled beyond her clandestine station. The chef who once laughed at her accent now offered polite greetings, his eyes humbled by the shift from disdain to reverence. Even the dignitaries, the guests with titles that sprawled before their names, could not disregard the pulse of gratitude echoing from the event. They approached her tentatively, their initial distance washed clean by appreciation permeating even the stiffest of diplomatic edifices. Warm handshakes and breathy thank yous floated into her space, mosaics of admiration crafting newfound interactions. The ambassador himself, a figure of representative importance, spoke of her cool-headed actions in quiet tones tinged with appreciation during an impromptu acknowledgement speech, embracing her contribution as essential to the cohesiveness maintained in an empire of alliances. The embassy's official communications ushered forth a press release, calibrating their public record to include acknowledgement of her heroic intervention. The tone conveyed a sense of shared human experience amid protocols usually operating with careful precision. Whispers within the staff breakroom carried buoyant notes of how she would handle different emergencies, their playfulness underscored by genuine curiosity about her paramedic adventures that had unfurled in another lifetime. The embroidery of her past emerged to complement present capacities, stitching a narrative where invisibility morphed into remembrance. Even still, the broader community beyond those high gates engaged, curiosity unending as tidbits of her history emerged from shared networks and goodwill platforms. They discovered archive pieces, interviews attesting to her exemplary service, awards once encased reappearing through fresh accounts attesting unwavering service to others. Mila quietly absorbed the currents unfolding around her. The things exposed, raw, unexpected, served promise in reinvigorating eyes. It was more than reclaiming herself. It was discovering that fragments of past, broken loose by time and circumstance, steadily aligned, creating a tapestry joining past capability with present deed, staged now for future potential. Gratitude and satisfaction mingled in equal parts. Often, she would find herself pausing between tasks, absorbing how her world now extended beyond the ritual of deduction and scaled beyond the surface of familiarity. Gradually, she adjusted to this new rhythm, one where reminders of her capability pulsated through interactions more vibrant. Witnessing the growing revelations about her heroism online and within the community nurtured an inner resolve, reshaping the narrative into a powerful testament of resilience. Each comment, video, and shared post fueled a fire she thought long extinguished, reigniting the strength she once embodied and quietly adored. Mila found herself more introspective than ever, considering the choices unfurling before her. An opportunity was forming in the shadows of recognition, growing into a choice humming with potential that defied the mundane routines she had stitched into her life's fabric. Could she step back into a career she once thought lost, or would she forge a new path that drew from her past experiences yet branched into uncharted vistas? At the heart of such contemplations, her thoughts danced around her son, anchoring perspective. He had become her compass, his radiant joy a beacon steering the ship of her newfound possibilities. With the world opening up before her, Mila entertained the hope of not just surviving, but thriving, of finding a place where her skills met her passions, creating a legacy stretching beyond her remembered invisibility. As days carried her further from the tumultuous evening, Mila embraced the seed within, watered by recognition and strengthened by community. New horizons beckoned, wrapped in stories of the past and bolstered by narratives yet to thrive. Hers was a journey marked by grace rediscovered, etched with empowerment, offering her the tools to craft narratives of significance, growth, and transformation spilling effervescently into another chapter. The morning light filtered softly through the sheer curtains of Mila Harper's modest apartment, casting gentle warmth over her features as she sipped her coffee, reflecting on how far-reaching small moments could stretch across life's tapestry. The days since the embassy crisis had unveiled a quieter yet resolute determination within her, nudging her toward a singular moment waiting just beyond the peripheral of doubt. Among the murmurs of gratitude and respect from colleagues and a curious public, something more tangible had arrived in Mila's life, an official offer from the Regional Emergency Services Director, inviting her to join a specialized program designed to reaccredit former paramedics. The program aimed to reintegrate experienced individuals into the field, especially those whose careers had been interrupted by life's unforeseen grasp. However comfortable she had grown in her routine, the invitation prompted Mila's transformation from resignation to possibility. Holding the letter, jeweled with hope and promise, she felt the weight not just of what lay ahead, but also of what she would leave behind, shadows of routines that had confined her to safety yet dulled her vibrancy. It was a crossroads she never expected but one she found herself hesitating to traverse, the simplicity of the familiar pulling against tides of potential. Contemplating the earnest request spelled across the paper, she glanced up to see her son playing with a toy ambulance, reimagining worlds only children perceive, a pristine mixture of joy and curiosity. His laughter, ripe with discovery, echoed transformation, a resonance Mila could not ignore. Listening to him, she recalled representation and roles she'd once inhabited, receding only to reignite a flame the beacon of which now called her back to them anew. The warmth of teaching, of mentoring new generations of emergency responders, tugged at her soul. She envisioned herself back in motion, the harness of learned craft and refined experience redefined as lessons for others, building futures on foundations of skills already deeply rooted in her. But, for each step toward reclaiming her place, unspoken fears murmured provocations. Would she falter as before? Could the scars of her past hold her back or break open her path anew from these bindings? Doubt nestled inevitably alongside promise, a counterbalance in the mosaic of hope. Her son's laughter steered her firmly on sight, the truth she needed underpinned by joy unrestrained, a compass directing resolve. It was a mantra sung in youthful refrain: fulfillment arises from passion's pursuit, guided by care and understanding. Resolute, she stood to firm this orientation, no longer willing to let apprehension claim mastery over her thoughts. Mila made her decision shortly thereafter, signing the acceptance form with hands commandeered by certainty. Her heart raced with a proud, trembling happiness, fear subdued beneath. Hidden certainties emerged, brightening under achievement's reflection as she prepared to step back into a familiar rhythm that extended forward, the lines between past efforts and future achievements blurring. The offer was more than just a career reborn, it was a chance to redefine a narrative, attended by hers and others waiting to be enveloped by the sanguine whir of ambulances, punctuated by the measured urgency she remembered so well. On her first day, standing tall under a reconstruction of identity and confidence, Mila donned a new uniform, its patches and insignias all the more cherished. It enveloped her like a warm embrace, affirming strengths reclaimed, aspirations crystallized, her fingers smoothing creases with careful precision. Entering the training facility, sunlight danced across floors traditionally heavy with the weight of textbook routines. Now, invigorated by the fresh breeze flowing warmly through open doorways, her inclusion enriched interconnections thriving beyond simple admission. Paralleled by affection, trainees wearing crisp uniforms of various sartorial adaptations offered reverent nods, their own futures flickering in youthful imaginings. Each greeted her with hope, the possibility their worlds too carried the grace she had rediscovered. This too would be her calling, others found easier solace, borne upon encouragement tempered through experience's transformative zeal. The circles of Goma she cast swelled, camaraderie unbidden bonded her to co-workers, colleagues now tied through recognition and volatile resonance. Returning home after her day, coated in relief and warmth, the colors of possibility coloring the corners of a life reclaimed, Mila embraced her son, narrating tales of momentum reclaimed and joy shared. Together, they painted with narratives of relevance stretched beyond compromise. With him, she discovered fresh narratives new generations folded into compassionate arch timelines. Outside, chain links of modern environments bound them connection anew, forging a network of histories living palpable under LED pixels and shared contexts. As daylight set, shimmering dawns nestled between graceful estuaries, the urban labyrinth surfaces delivering Mila into hopeful ripples pooling within yet another cascading generation. Instilled by hope eternal, their footsteps interlock seamlessly reverberating within foundational threads soar anew. She found herself writing depositions of what endured testimonials, tapestry of lives relaying stories meant courage fuel woven back into prominence, waving webs courage revived, embracing futures decidedly free. Journey reinforced. Tradition breaks captivity novel full luminary afterimage both knowledge and future. Preserved within expert realms, these tales everything gained, tales conveying strength embedded amidst conspiracies blossoming tuneful resolve. Mila Harper stood visible, unwilling to be swallowed by first shadows remembered, the revised paths marking forward strides facing the record anew. Her narrative, articulated through echoes remembered, resounding through opportunities now, was vibrant, echoing recognition awaiting eternity's claim bore testament to history eternal. The reflection of what was and what now stands threaded Mila Harper's horizon bright and uncompromising, poised to face new challenges with balance that averts fear while weaving complexity within flourishing tale illuminated upon tides of tradition reborn forevermore beneath starry skies forthwith.